Good evening from London. Welcome to Piers Morgan Uncensored. It's the world exclusive interview that's got the whole world talking, and I've a vested interest because I'm the one that did it. Days before the Football World Cup, football's biggest ever star has rocked the sporting world. We're running it. They're talking about it. You can see the entire interview.
Interview to Piers Morgan.
Just breaking in England, an exclusive interview between Piers Morgan and Cristiano Ronaldo.
He's done this huge, high-profile interview. It's now gone outside of football media, outside of sports media, and now is in mainstream news reports.
Cristiano Ronaldo, who has said he is being betrayed by his club. The 37-year-old's comments were made during an interview with Piers Morgan for Talk TV.
Ronaldo releases the intro to an interview he has with Piers Morgan. You got on there on Twitter and you tweeted, "Ronaldo, I don't respect the manager."
Ronaldo, who missed today because of illness, but has also done an interview with Piers Morgan.
Well, Cristiano Ronaldo has accused Manchester United of betraying him in an interview.
There has been a huge reaction to this interview before it's even gone to air.
And here are some of the papers around the world, in fact, from America. We've had Australia. You've had, of course, all around the UK, Spain, Italy. I've had messages on Twitter from everyone, pretty much. Because he is, in the end, he's the biggest star that football's ever seen. Ronaldo has nearly 500 million followers on Instagram. Think about that. He'll pass that total probably sometime in the next week, far ahead of any other human being on the planet. You can see the entire interview. We've titled it 90 Minutes with Cristiano Ronaldo right here on Piers Morgan Uncensored on Wednesday and Thursday nights, a two-parter, both shows starting at 8 o'clock. It's one of the most explosive interviews, certainly, that I've ever done. Tens of millions of people have already viewed the two short clips we released last night, and there are more fireworks coming later this evening. Because when Ronaldo speaks, people listen. He's not just, in my view, the greatest footballer of all time. He's a global megastar. He's, of course, highly paid too. And he's extremely commercially viable to any club. Sales of his shirts at Manchester United broke all records within 24 hours of him going back. And after a year in which many people, including some of his ex-teammates, have blamed him for the decline at Manchester United, he simply decided he'd had enough. They're trying to force you out.
Yes, not only the coach, but the other 2 or 3 guys there around the club.
At the senior executive level?
Yes, that I felt betrayed.
And you think they're trying to get rid of you?
Honestly, I shouldn't say that, I don't know, but listen, I don't care, I'm always, people should listen the truth. Yes, I feel betrayed, and I felt that some people that don't want me here, not only this year, but last year too.
Well, already the interview's deeply divided opinion amongst fans and wider football supporters. The club has released a statement today saying it will consider its response when the full facts have been established, which I take to mean after they watched the whole interview. But Ronaldo makes clear throughout our conversation that he has the utmost respect for Manchester United's history as a club and for its supporters. He's as frustrated about the stagnation of the once biggest football team in the world as they are. That's why he's speaking out, because as he sees it, the club hasn't moved forward at all since he left 13 years ago.
I don't know what's going on, but since the Sir Alex Ferguson left, I saw not evolution in the club. The progress was zero. For example, you have an interesting point that how the club as Manchester United, after suck Ole, they bring sport directive Ralph Rangnick, which is something that nobody understands. This guy is not even a coach. A bigger club like Manchester United bring sport directive, surprised not only me but all the world. You know, nothing changed. Surprisingly, not only the pool, the jacuzzi, even the gym. Even some points, the technology, the kitchen, the chefs, which is I appreciate, lovely persons. They stop in a time which is it surprised me a lot. I thought I will see different things, as I mentioned before, technology, infrastructure, but unfortunately we see many things that I'm used to see when I was 20, 21, 23. So. Surprised me a lot.
May surprise a lot of people. There are more home truths where that came from, and sometimes, let's be honest, the truth can hurt. Nothing was off limits in this interview. No tough questions were pulled. Ronaldo answers them all with a brutal honesty, very seldom seen from a star of his renown. He also opens up about the family tragedy which befell him earlier this year, in which his partner lost one of the two twins that she was expecting. And he talks about the disrespect he feels that he's been shown by United's manager, Erik ten Hag. He talks about the Glazers, United's unpopular American owners, and he talks honestly about criticism of him by his former colleagues in the old United dressing room. A lot's already been written and said about this interview, just based on the small amount we've already revealed. A lot of it, I have to say, is ill-informed bile. A lot of it is just plain fake news. The only way you'll find out what Ronaldo really says is by watching the whole interview here on Wednesday and Thursday. And I think he'll change a lot of people's minds when they do. Well, joining me now is the former professional footballer turned pundit Graham Soonis and chief football writer at The Times, Henry Winter. Well, welcome to both of you. So, Henry, given that I've just spent 10 minutes promoting my interview with Cristiano Ronaldo, I think it's only fair to balance it out by saying that you've written a very excoriating column, as is your wont sometimes when you disapprove of something, about this today. You think it's a big mistake by Cristiano to do this. Why?
Well, first, congratulations. It's a great scoop, Piers. Hi, Graham. I think I'm just reflecting the views of probably the majority of Manchester United fans that this legend of the game, as you say, certainly one of the greatest, probably top 5 players of all time, is slightly tarnishing his reputation in terms of how he's presented himself. I mean, he really should have left in the summer. I think from what I've read so far and what I've heard and seen in your clips, Piers, you know, there are elements of him making pertinent points, particularly about the lack of investment, it seems, in parts of Carrington and Old Trafford as well. So, look, those are important things that he's saying there, and he is a statesman of the game, and he should be listened to. So I think it's an important interview. But I just think the timing of it, coming the day after Manchester United had a really gutsy win at Fulham. A young kid comes on, Garnacho's the future of the club. And I just think, talking to fans, and I'm sure ex-players will echo this, is that you have to respect the manager. And I think actually Ten Hag has been pretty respectful, because anyone who's seen Ronaldo play this season, he's 37. He's played, I think, 520 minutes in the Premier League, 1 goal, no assist. Look, he's been a fabulous player for Manchester United, Real Madrid, and clearly still with Portugal. But he's not the force that he was. And Ten Hag, new manager, new era. OK, before I go to Graham Soonis, I just want to play a clip to both of you, which is a new clip from the interview, which I think may just give a little bit more insight into why Cristiano Ronaldo feels quite so disrespected by people that are running Manchester United right now. And I'll tell you the background to this, is there was a huge furore, as you know, Henry, about him not coming back to Manchester United in the pre-season when he should have done. A lot of speculation that it was to do with him wanting to leave the club and get away and everything else. In fact, as he reveals to me in the interview, it was because his little daughter, Bella, 3 months old at the time, who had survived this terrible tragedy in which her twin brother had died, she got bronchitis so bad that she was in hospital for a week. And he felt duty-bound as a father, I'm sure we'd all understand this, to stay with her. I want to play the clip and then just see whether this perhaps slightly changes your mind. Let's watch the clip. You'd lost your baby son and now your baby daughter's in hospital.
Exactly.
And you must have been absolutely
I
beside
spoke with the
yourself.
directive and the president of Manchester United, and then kind of that didn't believe that something going wrong, which is make me feel bad.
Really?
Yes, yes.
They didn't believe you.
They believe you, but in the same way, they are there. I never is ever gonna change the health of my family for a football. Never. Now or 10 years behind or forward, and it's something that really hurt me because they doubt of my words that I struggle, especially Bella and Gio. We had 1 week in hospital because the Bella have a big problem. And I didn't go to the pre-season because of that, because I didn't was allowed to leave my family if something happened to do it the pre-season, because I think it wasn't not fair to leave my family for a pre-season. This is why I didn't go.
Now, when he said that to me, Henry, I have to say I was pretty shocked. And obviously I've not been able to put this to Manchester United. I don't know exactly who he spoke to, who didn't believe him. But the whole concept that anyone at senior level at Manchester United doubted Cristiano Ronaldo's word about his 3-month-old baby, given what had happened to his family 3 months before, I find pretty shocking, actually. And it's unsurprising to me that that led to the breakdown in the relationship.
There were clearly two narratives going on in pre-season. One of them, as Cristiano has very emotionally articulated there, and anyone with any children will absolutely empathise with him and his support for his partner and for his children and for his daughter. I think everyone totally understands that. And if Manchester United had not shown him the warmth, the love that he was expecting, then, clearly they were wrong in that. My experience of Manchester United and the staff at Carrington and at Old Trafford, football and otherwise, is that actually it's not a cold club. It's actually a pretty warm club. There's a lot of good people there who will look out for a player like Cristiano, who obviously many of them got to know when he was a kid himself at 18. The other narrative, of course, was always the debate about his future and whether he should actually continue with a manager like Ten Hag. So I think really he should have gone in the summer anyway. But clearly everyone has sympathy for the family predicament he had at the time.
OK, let me bring Graham in. Graham, you've been one of the great players this country has ever seen, a terrific manager as well. You've been on both sides of this fence. And I listened to you this morning on TalkSport. Very interesting stories you were telling about your time at Liverpool and when similar things had happened to you and how you reacted and felt. What do you make of all this? Was Cristiano Ronaldo entitled to come out and have this say in this interview with me?
Well, that revelation that we've just watched, United will come out and deny it. They have to. They've not shown compassion at such a terrible time for...
Not believing him.
Ronaldo,
his daughter was in hospital.
They have to come out and deny that. I mean, my take on that, whenever I was managing, I would leave it entirely up to the individual if their family were having a baby, if their wives were having a baby. So I'll leave it until you take as much time as you need, or if there's an illness in the family, take as much time as you need. We'll see you when we see you. So I'm sure United will come out and deny that. They will have another side to that story. I get Ronaldo's argument. I think, as much as people think they shouldn't cut him some slack, Ronaldo has a standing in the game which is quite unique.
Is he the best player there's been?
There's a real argument for him. I mean, I personally think it's him or Messi. His stats would suggest it's him. The fact he's done it in different leagues would go in his favour as well. But there's no doubt about it. He can sit in the room with anyone that's ever played football and say, you know what, I think the best that's ever played. There's a real argument for that.
And does that give you...
No, it doesn't. I know what you're going to say.
Does it give you any special entitlement?
I think it has to. I think Ronaldo still has so much to offer, not just in the playing sense, but what he gives you in the dressing room. I consistently say, Pierce, that you have no chance of being successful unless you have good senior pros.
Right.
He's a consummate.
He's still got, it seemed to me, I sat with him for nearly 2 hours. He's still got this hunger burning inside him to win more big trophies, to break more records, to be more successful. And what he really craves is an environment around him that can enable all that to happen. And he feels he just hasn't got that at United. And a lot of it, he said, is down to poor structure and management of the club.
He's spot on. I mean, this is not... Whenever I talk about United, the United supporters are up in arms. What do you expect from someone who played and managed Liverpool? But I think United have been mismanaged further up the tree. I think they've consistently got the football decisions wrong. And that's why they find themselves in this dilemma. I think... Getting back to Ronaldo, I think Ronaldo, when he came along, I was all for it. And
when he came back?
Yeah, when he came back. I mean, there was nobody in that dressing room. There was nobody in that dressing room that younger players would look up to and say, I want to be like him in 10 years' time. He was the ultimate pro you could have got in to correct that. 18 goals last year in the Premier League. I think it was that one more than
Harry Kane?
Yeah, that in itself. So he is that good, that special, you come up with a system to suit him. What I believed has happened, this is my belief. So, without venturing into what we just witnessed with these tragedies and the baby dying and the other baby becoming ill, that you'd have to cut him some slack. But I'm sure United will have a different story. But I believe when he says he wants to leave, there was a meeting at the start of the season, there's a meeting would have taken place between the manager and Cristiano. After that meeting, they both left the room with an understanding that's going to work. United start the season losing to Brighton and then losing to Brentford badly. I think at that moment, I think the manager and the coaching staff thought, we cannot go down the road of using Ronaldo. There was a feeling that maybe he couldn't do the hard yards. So from that point on, I think Cristiano would have realised that. He's been around the block many, many times. So basically, Ronaldo will feel right now that he's been told a story. Someone has not kept a word, which is the manager. And
I don't know whether you've ever had a moment, Graham, and I had a moment rather famously last year when I had a little falling out with my employers and I felt I was being disrespected by people I work with, and I did this. And I, to be honest, don't regret doing that at all. So I kind of get, let me go back to Henry for a moment. I kind of get that if you're Ronaldo, one of the great players to ever play the game, and you feel disrespected professionally in terms of what is happening on the pitch and the way you're being used, being benched, being dropped, being publicly scolded, you know, the mixed messaging of Ten Hag not bringing him on against Manchester City when they got a thumping and saying he did it out of respect for Ronaldo, and then literally a week later trying to bring him on with 3 minutes left when they're winning 2-0 against Tottenham, apparently showing the complete opposite attitude. If you feel there's been this build-up of all this kind of disrespectful stuff towards you, and you have in the background this awful personal stuff going on as well, and you feel that the club has even doubted your word about some of that, I can see how we've reached this point where he feels enough and has come out all guns blazing.
The truth in football is always out there on the pitch, and Graham, as a former manager and a former player, I mean, makes a very pertinent point that Ten Hag, the new coach, clearly felt that Ronaldo couldn't put in, to use Graham's phrase, very apt phrase, he couldn't put in the hard yards on the pitch. And the Premier League particularly is such a gruelling assignment now. It's just all about stamina, it's all about pressing, and with respect to one of the greatest players who's ever played, Ronaldo at 37 wasn't going to be doing the pressing that was required. He's clearly a superior player to Rashford, but Rashford would run himself into the ground for the team. So I think, look, there were other issues there. I think not coming off the bench when he was asked to. I mean, Graham's been in the dressing room. I don't know how Graham would have reacted if any of his Liverpool players had refused to come off the bench. And then going down the tunnel and this element that it's all about me, when in fact...
Well, he does say to me... Yeah, I mean, look, he does...
Absolutely embodied in his Liverpool teams that it's all about, it should all be about the team.
Yeah, I do think Ronaldo's about the team, but I think he believes his own... Yeah, I do think Ronaldo, he believes his own personal goals and excellence as a footballer helps the team. He thinks the two go hand in hand. He did say to me, he did apologise to all his teammates and shouldn't have done what he did at Tottenham. But he also, Graham, he also said that he just felt this ongoing disrespect from his coach, both about personal stuff and professional. And he just said it boiled over.
Well, I think it's down to him changing his mind from the two. This is what I believe, the two losses, Brentford and Brighton. And then at that point, he has to sit down with them again and say, look, this is what I'm thinking. I think it just boils down to, and it's to his credit that Ronaldo wants to play every minute of every game.
Right.
He still sees himself as a winner. He will be a realist as well. He'll realise he can't do the running down the channels.
He actually admits that. He admits that in the interview. He says he's not the player he was, but he thinks he's a smarter player than he used to be.
And Henry references Rashford. There's no comparison. You know, because your stats say that you ran whatever kilometres or how many miles, it's the end product. The hardest thing in football is to score goals. He does that better than anyone that United has. I mean, if I'd been managing him, I think you have to come up with United are not in a place right now where they want to be. That's the politest thing I can say.
Well, they're fifth in the league. They're 13 points off the top. They're in the playoffs for the Europa League. I mean, this is not a place United are used to being, right?
Take 18 goals out of United seasons last year.
They could have been in the relegation zone.
Where did they finish?
Yeah.
There's still room for Ronaldo at United. And I think this whole saga has been handled so badly, it was avoidable. I think with better communication, with people telling the truth, And I think that's where Ronaldo's beef is. I think he's been told an untruth.
Can he stay there now?
I don't think he can. I think all the bridges are burnt now.
Henry, is there any way back for Cristiano, even if he wanted to come back?
No chance, and particularly the timing of your very good interview, Piers. The timing of it shortly after the final Premier League game of the first half of the season. There's no way your interview could have gone out a week ago, because if he'd had to step out in front of the Manchester United fans who for so many years sang Viva Ronaldo, he would have very sadly have got a different reception. And
Well, he might, but of course, if Portugal have
and
a
he's
good
broken
run in the
the
World
hearts of
Cup
a lot
and
of Manchester
Ronaldo,
United fans.
right? But if Portugal have a good run in the World Cup, they've got a good team, and Ronaldo starts banging in goals in the World Cup.
Well,
I mean, in the end, great players hold a lot of power.
Well, fantastic.
You see, we're obsessed.
Fantastic, but he's 37. He's not the player he was.
Right, final word.
He's still got a lot to offer, Henry. You know, if you go back to Aguero at City, where he wouldn't be deemed to have been the best at doing the hard yards, the closing down, the unwanted stuff. Strikers don't really enjoy it. He would get away with it. United should have looked at this situation.
But Manchester United have got a new manager and a new era, and Ten Hag was always going to be Manchester United's future.
I'm saying we're obsessed.
Ronaldo was very much their past, and he should have gone in the summer.
We're obsessed. This whole situation has been handled very badly by United, in my opinion. He's a player he should have kept on side. He's a player that still has something.
Ronaldo.
He is a player that's something that he still has, I think, a hell of a lot to offer a football club. For me, they've handled it very poorly. How do you think it was going to end when you're upsetting a player of his standing?
I think that's the bottom line.
We're talking about this instead of United on the front foot, moving forward, winning a difficult game.
I also think, to be fair to Cristiano, you've got to watch the whole interview. All people have seen so far are a few clips, literally, just like 2 or 3 clips. It's a long 90-minute plus interview we're going to air over 2 days. If you watch it all and you come to the same conclusion Henry has, fair enough. But I think a lot more people will feel sympathetic towards Ronaldo by the end of it than they might be feeling at the moment. I've got to leave it there. Henry, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Graham, great to have you on the show.
Pleasure.
Thanks for coming in. Really appreciate it.